All right, guys, time to have some fun. We want to dump the website out, right? The reason we got the website was because the way it looked, the way it laid the information out, we could always change the colors and so on. So we got it because this really is specifying our product, for example, something like that. We just thought, this is great. This is a really great way to lay out about what it is that we want to say. But what do we want to do right now? We want to actually get rid of it. Oh, and yeah, they made some updates. Remember how the images weren't showing up there and the video wasn't connected properly? All that's fixed. I also noticed in the panel when I logged in, the integrations are there now. And that's what I mean when I say that the website will update itself, it will improve itself, fix itself anyway, let alone that it's doing it for people who come to the website and it's monitoring itself and improving itself to improve your ROI and get you better monetization. But we update the websites from the back end. So anything that's broken, we'll fix it in your website remotely. You won't even know we were in there until you suddenly realize things work. Okay, let's have some fun. We did get the website. We want to dump all this stuff out. We're not going to use it, right? We're going to use our own stuff. So how do we dump it all out? Well, we go through all the sections to dump it out, right? But before we do, you might say, what if I want to put it back? What if I want to actually turn this into my business one day? Or what if I'm making versions of the website and they're going to use the Valentine's Day theme, the Christmas theme, Thanksgiving, so I can do different offers at different times of the year, and I use those every year. I'll switch back to those things. Can you just save like a snapshot of everything on the website? Every setting, every link to every image, every click here button pointing at everything? You can. Let's do that right now. So if you go into global settings, okay, we were talking about general settings, theme settings, style, and typography. We are going to download a feed file. And what it says when it says download the feed file is what you would expect. You can download a full or a partial feed file. You can flip things on or off if you have a reason to just download parts. But in our case, we're going to assume you want to download the whole thing. What it's going to do is create an Excel file with a different tab for each part of the website. The domain sheet is basically for the name of the theme, like WellCare, and what domain it goes on, okay, which is by default the main domain, okay? But you could also have subdomains, so our domain sheet can carry information about that. Pages, of course, if you're saving it, it's saving the pages section. Image category saves the image gallery stuff and the category stuff. Remember how that was two pieces? Actually, yeah, that's image category and gallery right there. Sidebar saves sidebar. General settings saves the stuff on this tab. Theme settings saves the stuff on this tab. Global variables is for the global variables. Theme style and color is for theme style, and typography really means the same thing. Testimonials, right? So if I hit download feed file, it's saving a snapshot of all the settings in the website. This acts like a backup. This means if I go and I make changes and I mess something up, I can import the one part or all the parts that are necessary to straighten this website right back out. So take a look, for instance. Here we go. WellCare feed file. WellCare -feed file, because you feed the file in. To update everything, right? All right, Dave does concrete. I'm going to keep it here where I want it. I'm going to overwrite the one that exists, and there you go. So what does this thing look like? Just to reassure you that it makes sense and that you can understand it, right? It looks like, sorry, not those. That. This is the final file. Okay, enable editing. All right. Okay, here's what I want to point out. These are all those tabs. The subdomains list is the subdomains tab. General settings, theme option settings, theme style and typography, all your colors, pages, sidebar widgets. Then it's got global variables. There are a ton of those, right? Like I said, 3,888 is the number of the highest one. It's probably more like 2,000 total. What do I know? Worksheet. We don't need the worksheet for anything. It was just worksheet. It's kind of in our way. We could move this thing to the front, get out of the way. We could delete it. Okay. So then if I keep going though, whoops. This website isn't doing it, but the other websites did do it. I'm going to have to point this thing out. It should be saving the rest. The images category, the images gallery, the videos list, and it did not save them. And the last one I checked it on did. So I'm going to have to point this out. All right, we'll get back to it. So yeah, when you go downloading it, don't rely on it until it saves all the tabs, right? So just be aware of that. Okay. So anyway, let me just open it real quick and kind of walk through it once so you see it. So the first theme, it just simply says WellCare. It would be for the root domain. Okay, you don't need to type anything there because it's assumed by default. And that's all you need to know about this tab. Except one thing I want to point out. Notice it's on row 3. All the sections only take up row 3. They may take up more than one line, but it's all inside of row 3. Okay? And that's true for everything. It's all in row 3. Although you may have one or two kinds of headers up here, it's still in row 3. Why is that? Because we save the root domain, the main domain, in row 3, all the way across. So if we had a row 4, that would be like a different website. I mean, it would have settings for everything, but they would be a different set of settings. So that gives you a hint about our mass page generation, because we have ways of rapidly creating lots and lots and lots of pages. And we have tools that make that easy. But right now, all you need to know is that your website is saved in row 3. So take a look at the general settings. We can compare it and understand it real quick. If I look down here, what do I have? Admin email, title, icon, logo, some other stuff. What are we going to see here? Whoops, that's the wrong one. We've got our logo, title, admin email, meta tags, script code at the page bottom, and the copyright text section where we put the copyright text in. And so instead of saying like city keyword, I could make it say okay. All right. And there you go. There's the general idea, right? Okay. All right. So what do I want to imply by making any changes here? That I could make changes to this file, and then I could, what? I could come back and import the file, and so it'll overwrite whatever values I changed in here with the new values, right? So if in the Excel file for admin email, instead of website title, which happens to be there for some weird reason right now, I'm going to put bob@gmail.com, right? And get rid of the hyperlink because I don't need it. Okay? And so if I import it, it'll change that to bob@gmail.com. This is how we can control websites from the outside. We have remote ways of working with those files, Excel files, and then specifying on the domains tab what domain to import each row to. And when we import it, it creates all your subdomains on your site, and it goes to the next sites and does more. So just to clear the logic in your head, you know, in case you had any trouble with that, website title should be website title. Or, you know, just the actual title like Dave Does Concrete. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, that would be controlled in the Excel file, and then we can import it to update all the fields in here. Okay? Everything will update the way we want, that being the idea. Okay. That's true for literally every page, right? The theme settings, all of these settings, everything that's in here. And then the typography, everything that's in there. Everything on the sidebars. Sidebars. Everything in the modules, everything in the modals, everything in the image gallery, and everything in the videos stack and the blogs, everything. And it's true that not all the new tabs have been integrated into this function yet. So it'll take a little while before our download feed file covers all of the new sections as well, right? Like all of these new integrations. But then you'd be saving something that's completely unique. Reality check is, do you need to download all of it? Not necessarily. I mean, integrations are probably going to stay the same no matter what you import. Okay? You're probably still using the same newsletter and the same payment settings and stuff. Okay, having said that, let's continue. We made a backup. And because we made a backup, we can start deleting everything that's in our way so that we can start building new stuff, like with the article generator, right? So boom, it can delete everything except for the home page, right? I'm going to delete. Okay? And then I'm going to go in the home page. Okay? And I'm going to delete. See that? And I'll leave this alone till later, but all this stuff here, I don't know what I want in all this stuff yet. So I'm just going to delete all of these tokens, right? Okay. And if I come back to the front end, here's what I want to make sure that you're clear on, right? What got deleted? All the content stuff that's here. We will probably still see the sidebar if the sidebar's enabled. I didn't actually check. Sidebar widgets, all or no? I didn't actually see. Integrations on the page, right? Modules on the page, I didn't see. It does say show the sidebar though. So here's what I want to see. I want to refresh. Just see what I see. Oh, yeah, I mean, when you completely empty out the content, even the sidebar's not showing. Yeah, so there you go. Until we create new content for the home page, right? We could probably create something, right? Content, or just under construction, right? Yeah, see it? Under construction, and the entire sidebar reappears. Okay? So there's the sense of all that stuff. And by the way, if you don't want the sidebar to reappear right now, just simply disable it, right? Piece of cake. We can always come back to it later. So, what else do we have to do? We got to get rid of the contents everywhere else, right? We can always build fresh. So let's just figure out how. Let's start going section by section. Anywhere we know that there's contents, right? Sidebars. I'm just going to straight delete all of the widgets. Whap. I can always build new ones. Isn't that weird? Just adding a new widget and going through the steps. Let's go to the blogs, right? They're empty. Okay, that's easy. If we want, we can go to the integrations first. But you know what? I wouldn't delete integrations once you set them up, because what's the point, right? Once you get those things set up, you're probably going to keep using them. So there's no point in that. Global variables. You know, we could delete the variables, but I think that's going to be tricky because there's so many. Like, how many are you going to delete? There's 100 per page. There's a ton of industries. What we have to build in is a button that just says dump the global variable file, or add a new one should empty the old one. In the old days, you know, we could sort of cheat. Haven't thought about it though in a long time. We'll worry about that later. We're not using the variables. We'll just worry about it later. Okay, so let's go back to global settings. Okay. Yeah, like right now, if we check out the sidebar anyway, it's just gone. But let's take a look at the glow. And there are no inner pages anymore, right? There's just home and then this other stuff, right? Like click here for more info. And it says it's gone here, but it's just defaulted to the home page because there's nothing there. So I could leave the admin stuff and the website title if I want, or I could change the website title, icons and stuff. I'll just update them when I'm ready because it's so fast. This is nothing, right? These two tabs, especially theme settings, really take the most time, right? Theme style and typography takes time if you want to change the colors and you look up a color palette and you go matching dominant and subdominant colors, but it's fun. You know, you get to create that new great look to your website by having a new color scheme. But theme settings is just where you have to delete all the stuff, right? And you can decide what you want to flip on or off. You can flip things on as you get them done. So you can say no to everything until you get it done. So I'm just going to say take those out. No to the breadcrumb. This you can't really do anything about. It's just a slider. So yeah, leave it alone. But here we go. And we can leave it or dump it every single time, right? What do we want to be the call link and all that jazz and the number? So just decide what you want to keep and what you want to dump, right? Maybe you just want to dump the actual email and phone and text because you're going to put them in manually. You might leave this stuff alone but update it. Then again, you might just get rid of it. Kind of letting you know you can do all this, right? I'll enable it long enough to maybe dump it out, right? Maybe that's not what I want. I can always fill this in later and see how it looks on the front end and figure it out real quick. And I can just leave this until I change the video. And that could be good. And then I can get rid of that. About us images, about us. I don't need these. All right. Yeah. Sorry, I'm taking so long. You get the idea, right? I'm just dumping everything I'm not going to use, but keeping the stuff I actually care about, right? If it looks a little on the complex side or something, you just want to make sure that you can make sense out of it, you might keep it, right? See what it is. When you get everything else dumped out, it's easier to see what the things are that are left. Okay? Like I'm going to enable it so I can see what this looks like. Okay? FA checks, list item icon. That's like a check mark check, right? Font awesome check mark. You know, I could go and see what that looks like. FA check right there. It's a check mark. So I might keep it in there long enough to deal with it later. All right, enable services. And again, I'm just going to get rid of things that I can replace. You could just replace them as you go. But the point is, what are you going to do for a lot of this stuff? You're just going to use, you know, common sense to fill in some of it. You can get rid of more of these too. You don't even need to have as many as they want. Okay? Or as they suggest, because we just put in as many as we want to put in. Yeah, you can decide if you want to keep this or get rid of it or what, you know. So I'm just showing you can do this. You can dump it off. If I decide later it was a waste of time, I could import the feed file. Okay? And if I import the feed file, I don't need to import all of the tabs. What if you got other parts perfectly right, except for this one tab? Well, remember how you do all the tabs when you download it. So what that means is that inside that feed file, I could make a copy. Paste. And in my copy, I can delete all the other tabs so that they don't get overwritten. Okay. Except one tab not to delete, the subdomains list. That's a functional tab for specifying that the theme name goes on the root and that is the right theme. Leave this tab alone. Never delete it, ever. You always have to have it on any file you import. But I can delete this. Wow. Spacebar. You know, theme option settings is the one I want to keep, right? Delete that, right? Delete this if I want. I could also upload it to recreate the pages. I could upload this to recreate the site sidebars, right? There you go. So now it's perfectly empty except for my subdomains list and the thing I want to put back up. So I could save that, give it a good name, and I could import that. Like my name would be TOS only, right? Theme option settings. WoCare FF, right? Feed file, TOS only. Makes sense? I could do it for pages only, a different one. I could do another one for sidebars only. Every one of those files will have the subdomains list tab, but then only the other tab you want. And that way you can actually micromanage your updates to the website without messing other things up. Make sense? All right, just letting you know you can do that. All right, so that's how you empty stuff. Another way to overwrite stuff is just to work one line at a time and recognize where you left off, right? Like for instance, much of this here, you know, in reality, much of this here, whoops, sorry, uses these variables. So you just know if it's using a variable and you didn't put it there, then you haven't gotten to it yet. The sections that are disabled, you don't even need to care about updating them because they're disabled. But the sections that are enabled, just make sure you have the stuff you want to have, you know? Okay? And you don't need the AI writer for this stuff. This is your obvious stuff, right? Support at, right? Dave does concrete.com. All right, I think this makes sense. So you'll know how to do these things. So now comes the fun part. The rest of it. The part where it's not just in your head, but you're like, okay, I don't know how to write about this topic. You know, I know how to put the images in place now. I know how to just update standard obvious texts going down. But I want my writer to write everything else for me beyond that, right? And so if you want your writer to write beyond that, you can do that. And by the way, you might even start by saying, let's make our website pretty simple. Let's disable most stuff. Okay, navigation, sure. Enable it. Breadcrumb, no. Top bar, yes. Navigation, yes. Banner settings, yes. Okay, fine. About us, yes. Maybe. No, I don't know. That's just the point. We can disable anything we want to disable, okay? And then just add these sections in one at a time as you find that you have a purpose for each of them. You can do them in whatever order. You can enable anything you want, disable anything you want, all the way down the page, and your website is still going to look really, really good in the end, okay? So you don't need to worry about it. Oh, I'd keep the footer enabled. Okay. Yeah. So when you download the feed file, yes, it does download everything for your disabled sections too. Okay? But look at that. Look at how simple this page is right now. And the only thing we would be doing at this point is updating the page content along with the sidebar maybe. Other than that, it's the stuff at the top that's easy to control. One headline, one paragraph, button text, two of those, right? Just make sure the video is the right one. Whatever video it should be. Okay? Whoops. Oh, that shouldn't have gone all the way there. It should have stayed here. Okay, unless I clicked the button myself. The logo, and then everything in the footer, whatever I want to change there. You know? Individual links, I may as well put them in last, right? Wait until I have like 10 pages to do it with. And then the final header with the final paragraph and the final button. And then just whether I want these icons at the bottom and whether this is saying what I want it to say. And whether I want the sitemap link in there or not, which usually is a good reason or is a good thing to have. There's a button now for dumping your sitemap so you can do a new one. I forgot, well, I don't know where they put it. I was told that it was updated. Where is it? So that's one of the questions I asked so that I can tell you guys where it is so that we can dump the sitemap and then start a new one. Okay, guys. Yeah, the next stuff from here is the fun stuff. It's using the AI writer, and that's just, I'm not going to show you every box or anything. I'm just going to show you how you write with it, how you put it into a page, how you deal with the headers and the paragraphs, and you know the rest. how to insert images and videos and stuff. And all we're going to do is put some shortcut codes in here for the fastest, best codes for things like video inserts. I covered those in earlier videos. I kind of pointed one out for YouTube. So yeah, we'll put that list of the squigglies for all the integrations and the modules, and we'll put that link for the like the most efficient YouTube code in for the fastest page load. And you guys are able to make these websites into whatever you want. You'll know how to change the colors, do whatever you want with images, which includes logos. The logo is just an image. You can look up logos. And then just apply your name to some generic art logo. And when we have our drawer in here, our AI art, you can make your own logos with it, make your own images with it, and automate that through the AI writer tool. So the writer will write content and create images page by page for you. Oh man. So then it's just from there, it's just the more complex stuff. Global variables and var sheets, how do those work, right? Okay, cool. Getting really, really close. And yeah, you guys are covering a lot of ground. All right. I think the only thing we haven't covered for the list is the action modal. Somebody's got to point that out to me later if you have any trouble with that. And masking, by the way, like I said, goes with the var sheet and global variables. Okay. All right. Cool. Getting there.